maintenance works going on, and that involves one of our independent power producers. So what it is that there's a breakdown, there's a fault on one of the generating units, and because of that fault, we are losing 132 megawatts of power into the national grid, and that means that we have to be able to supply power at the moment, because they have they also have problems, and that's the Ndola energy. So in total, we are talking about a deficit of about well over 200 megawatts into the national grid. So when you look at that, you appreciate that 200 megawatts plus of electricity is quite significant, and definitely to have an impact on the load shedding schedule. That is why we are saying that we've reduced on the number of hours of supply, meaning that the load shedding hours have increased.
There's a lot of speculation that has come out after that statement was issued. Social media went ablaze. Twitter was talking, Facebook was talking, and one of the things that people were insinuating was that the possibility could be that Zesco is having challenges with its suppliers of electricity because of money and all of that, and so they are not getting that electricity. Could this position be clarified?
Well, that's not true. I've just explained that one of our suppliers or our sources have had a breakdown in one of the generating machines, and they are not able to provide that power to us. And if you go further in the statement, we mentioned that according to the assessment, the engineers' assessments, it's very clear that they've given us a time frame in which they hope to complete the maintenance works. So definitely that, overrides what you are saying, that it's probably the failure by Zesco to pay.
So one of the other things, if we are not able to produce over 200 megawatts of electricity because of these problems, have you considered the possibility of importing electricity in the interim to mitigate that challenge? And I ask that because at the moment, electricity demand for your institution is most likely to increase because people are being encouraged to stay home. So when they are home, a lot of people will use electricity. So isn't it one of your options to import electricity to mitigate that 200 megawatts of electricity?
Importation is not our immediate option. What you need to understand is that we can only import when we come to as a last resort. At the moment, we know that we can still manage with what we have, and that's why we are saying that for now, let's see how the 15 hours work, how we'll manage to providing power for 15 hours. So at the moment, we're not talking about importation.
So while we're not talking about importation, I would also just like us to clarify when it comes to another subject that is similar, and that would probably need clarification when it comes to the exportation of electricity. If we're having this deficit, have we still maintained the position to export electricity, and why is that so, if that's the case?
I think you need to understand that when we talk about importation of power, we are talking about protocols that have been entered into with our neighboring countries. You need to appreciate that Zambia is not an island. We are not operating in isolation. We have neighbors and we have relationships with those neighbors. And I want to cite a specific example. When you look at Malawi, for instance, I know that it's out that we are exporting.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
And good evening to you, sir. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. And how are you? And how is the Diamond TV doing?
We're doing just fine, thank you. You've got a contribution to make, I believe.
Yes, for me it's not really a contribution, but just a question to the public relations manager.
Proceed.
I want to find out about the Tariba issue. Right now you are telling us that you've got a problem with your machine. Earlier on, you told us and through one of the senior government officials telling us that we've got a problem with the Kariba Dam. Now, any justification to that? I want an explanation on that one.
An explanation on what?
That is we are told that the water levels are too low at Kariba. Mm-hmm. Now we are being told that the hours of load shedding will increase to 15 hours. Now I want to find out what is really a problem that the country is facing that is causing Zesco to load shed the nation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kosam, thank you for calling in from Chingla. But I'll allow you to finish your thought because that's also a very important point for us to clarify when it comes to the exportation of electricity, as you were explaining.
Yes, we were talking, I was citing an example of Malawi. You know that we do export power to Malawi. And I want to make it very clear that the power that we export to Malawi is very insignificant, for lack of a better word. It's very minimal in terms of, the quantum. So we do give them that power. Of course, they buy that power. But you need to appreciate that we have Chama and Lundazi in the Eastern Province that are getting power from Malawi. So we are also buying power from Malawi. So what it is that we need to appreciate that there's infrastructure there available in Malawi, which we are able to, trade between Malawi and Zambia. So when we talk about trade, it's a give and take. So Malawi will give us power, we'll give them power. And I think that the biggest issue here that we should take home is that it's very, very minimal. It will not change anything, for instance, if we say that we retain that power in Zambia.
All right. Yes. So Kosam was asking a question, but I think another question that a lot of people have been asking in relation to what Kosam was saying is the people have been seeing rains, for example, in the northern side of the country. The northwestern side of the country has recorded the highest rainfall it has recorded ever during this period. And so people find it strange and they fail to understand when Zambezi River Authority, for example, and Zesco come and they tell them that the Kariba Dam is still having very low levels. So could you explain this aspect as well?
Well, on the water levels, you must appreciate that Zambezi River Authority are the custodians of the waters. So they will give an allocation to Zesco, they will give an allocation to the power utility in Zimbabwe. So we work with the allocation that we are given. So basically what I'm saying is the water management is managed by Zambezi River Authority. Zesco will work with what allocation we have been given. For instance, in the year 2020, we have been allocated 11 billion cubic meters of water. And I think I want to break it down. So I want to give an example of a home. I'm a mother. I have children. So if I buy a bag of mealie meal and I tell myself, look, this mealie meal should take us a whole month, okay? And then because my children want to eat, okay, every 3 hours, we consume that mealie meal within a week. What happens in the remaining 3 weeks? So what I'm trying to say is that when Zesco is allocated that water for the year, for instance, we will have to apportion that water to make sure that it runs or we are able to consume power according to the allocation that we have been given. We are not supposed to consume the water before, for instance, if it's for a year, if we consume it before the year ends, then after that, what happens? Do you get my explanation?
I do get your explanation. What has the trend been like for Zesco from the time that people, for the past 14 days, when people have been told to sit down? Have you seen an increase in the use of electricity generally in the country? How has been the trend?
Well, I would say we haven't yet made that assessment, but I want to believe that yes, people are staying home. But you need to understand, for instance, you are still running. So you'll find that maybe half